Since we are a young fashion brand for predominantly for the ladies, so to answer your question, are there brands who cater to ladies more than men's in India? Yes, we are there. Uh, what, how the customer has evolved over the period of time? I think the customer has become much more smarter, much more informed. And see, if you really see the difference between a traditional retailer and a organized retailer, and we always felt that traditional retailer is much more closer to the customer, much more connected. He knows the customer in and out, and therefore, he has been able to give you a service which an organized retailer was not in a position to give. But I think the evolving technology has made that possible. Today, we can know the customer much more intimately than what we could have known maybe a decade earlier. And therefore, as much as the consumer has evolved, I think the organized retailers also have evolved. And they also have now means to know what the customer requires at the instant. So therefore, if we as retailers can cater to that customer's needs at that point in time, I think then we have won the game. So pampering the customers is much more easier now. And therefore, I see technology and the social media and the plethora of apps that exist today gives you an opportunity to really reach out to the customer much faster than what he ever was and what we ever could have earlier. And secondly, coming to the flip side of it, the customer is becoming increasingly impatient and demands very high speed of service. So therefore, I think that keeps us on our toes to say whether we are in a position to really service him in that speed at which he does. Otherwise, he logs off equally fast. So I think the relevance of brands in future would primarily be driven by your ability to meet the customer's requirement at the instant. And therefore, I think all of us would have to evolve from that point of view as well. Going back to your question of Uniqlo and I think Indian customer is a little different than the international customer. Here, if you go by one of the ads that was very popular some time back on the television, or batao, it's not so easy to satisfy a customer who keeps asking you or batao. So, and if you see the online shopping, you have huge variety. So if you try and say that, okay, I'll try and satisfy a customer with only 10 types of products, I am sure he will say, okay, thanks a lot. Okay, unless you are a brand which just does that 10 products and therefore he'll come to you. I think that challenge exists in India, and therefore we can't do away with as big a variety that that maybe a Uniqlo would not even think of. But to answer your question, whether that is the right way of going ahead, maybe the customers will evolve, and maybe eventually then we also will scale down the width versus depth, which is a perennial problem that we always face, and then come to a level where it becomes easier for the customer to know this brand stands for X, and therefore I'll go to buy this X from them, and it makes sense for us as well as for the customers.